with my husband.
Welcome back to Marketing with My Husband.
It's good to be back again.
And Eddie. Obviously, for those watching on video, Dan's obviously wearing a black shirt. Eddie's a black dog. Eddie is on Dan's lap.
Yeah. It's not like my shirt has a bulge. He's got centre stage today by the microphone as well.
He does. What is your recommendation for the week?
Okay. My recommendations are getting more and more outlandish every week, but this next one I'm going to say is even more outlandish than the rest. And it's buy your wife a ticket to Dubai.
Oh my God.
By herself. So
it's actually related to the same thing.
Really? Well, the reason I say that is because you, as in Tia, hasn't stopped talking about how excited, nervous, anxious, and how liberating it's going to be. Like, oh my God, just me and my best friend in Dubai.
Should you give everyone a background if they don't know why I'm actually going so it doesn't sound so outlandish?
Oh, sure. I'm not just going to send her to Dubai by herself and go, here you go, I'm not coming. See you later. But Tia's best friend has been traveling for many years, and she's currently in Dubai, and it's her 30th birthday. It's Tia's 28th birthday. See you later, girls. Go have the best time ever.
Well, my recommendation to add to that would be to do something that scares you. Because I think flying to Dubai 14 hours, I think in total it's 21 or 22 hours with the layover, is terrifying. I don't know if people know, but I'm genuinely a very anxious person. You know, I had a rough time a few years ago with my anxiety, with my depression, with my mental health, and it's been a long journey to build myself back up and to be as confident as I am today. But this just feels like the next thing. I think when this episode drops, I'll probably be in Dubai already.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it's like I've been very emotional. If you ask Dan, I've been crying a lot. I've been super choked up about it because I'm genuinely very, very scared, if I'm being completely honest. And I know for my own growth, I have to sit into that fear and I have to be liberated. And yeah, I just think just do something that scares the hell out of you. I'm already my eyes are starting to well, so I'm going to stop talking about it, but do something that scares the hell out of you would be my recommendation.
You're going to kill it.
I'm going to kill it. Yeah, okay. I hope so. Okay, what are we talking about today? I'm asking you, but it's my topic.
Yeah, Tia's going to take the majority of this podcast today because she is really the expert in it, and she's going to be teaching me a few things along the way, and I'm going to be asking a lot of questions, but it really is, we're talking all things LinkedIn and how powerful it is. As I said, I'm going to have a lot of questions, so I'm going to let you take this away and go for it.
Okay, so today's episode is why LinkedIn deserves a spot in your marketing mix. So we want to talk about some fresh statistics that have come out on LinkedIn and the usage in Australia. We've obviously swapped out our regular cards for our laptops because this is very in-depth. The current user base and activity is over 15 million Australians currently have LinkedIn profiles as of 2024. And roughly 6.5 million Aussies use LinkedIn at least once monthly. So that's about 1 in 4 people.
Mm-hmm.
Users spend on average 1 hour and 6 minutes per month on the platform, indicating that they check it quite regularly. So the growth and reach that LinkedIn has. So LinkedIn's advertising reach is estimated at 17 million people in Australia, which is about 63% of the national population. That's a lot of people on LinkedIn. And in fact, Australia ranks in the top 15 countries for LinkedIn reach. So this means a huge chunk of professional workforce within Australia can be reached on LinkedIn. And all of these stats go from reputable sources, which I'll mention below. Some more stats I have on LinkedIn that are from Hool.co is one survey found that 64% of Aussie LinkedIn members have household incomes above $100,000 per year. Many are homeowners or soon to be. 53% of these people carry a mortgage and 43% of them are actively looking for financial products like home loans. So when we're talking about real estate marketing, I don't know if I have to spell that out anymore, but that's a massive untapped platform.
And a lot of people, in my experience, I've actually met more people using LinkedIn than I probably ever have in the last 12 months, especially in the field that we're in. But it's still unsaturated. I feel
Definitely.
like you still see the same people popping up, and I don't see many just random people just having a crack at just one post. In all transparency, probably a couple of years ago, I didn't know what to put on there. So I was just like, I'm just going to be a lurker and a reader and I'm just going to study what everyone else is doing.
It's really evolved, and we'll get into that, like where it's evolved and like a content metric as well. So a key stat highlight that I have here is that LinkedIn isn't a mass market. So Facebook has approximately 19 million Aussie users, or Instagram. So it doesn't crack the top 10 for social platform users in Australia, but the quality of LinkedIn's user base is its strength. So according to LinkedIn's data, 4 out of 5 members drive business decisions in their roles. So when you network on LinkedIn, you're often one connection away from the company owner, an investor, an executive person, or someone who needs these property services. So you're not connecting with people that are, lower in the organization. You're usually 1 or 2 connects away from the person that actually owns the entire business. So I pulled out a small little section here. So it says, imagine a quarter of the Australian population networking on LinkedIn each month. That includes many of the CEOs, doctors, and lawyers, the people who might buy prestige properties or invest in commercial real estate. Those are the people scrolling in their LinkedIn feed in between meetings. It's captivative and it's a professional audience. So you can really tap into that. We start to really learn that, okay, whilst it's not the highest engaged platform or social media platform we have, it's a very high quality social platform.
It's really, if you could talk to all these people in one room, you'd be astonished. You go, wow, how did I make it into this room?
Exactly. So I now want to tackle why LinkedIn is often overlooked in real estate marketing and why that is actually good news. So this is not bad news that it's being overlooked. This is a great opportunity. If you're listening to this podcast, honestly, you are 5 steps ahead of many other people. So perception versus reality. Many agents see LinkedIn as just a job site or a digital resume platform. It often doesn't have the buzz of Instagram and TikTok, so it's considered boring and not relevant for marketing. It's not flashy or trendy, and that's exactly what serious professionals want. So I think we're seeing here is, the perception is, when I want a job, I'll jump on LinkedIn, or, I'll refresh it when I'm looking for something. It's just an online resume. That's not the case anymore. This is a full-fledged social media platform, and it should be treated as such.
To butt in there a little bit, I think you look at elite professionals when they go, Instagram and TikTok, people dancing, people wasting my time. I'm not going to bother on any of these platforms if people are wasting my time. So you go on there and you post professional things, they're going to be genuinely interested in it.
Definitely. I think we call it I call it personally the 9 to 5 platform. It's probably, if your boss walks past and you're on Instagram and you're not in marketing, they're probably going to take a side eye at you. But if it's 9 to 5 and you're on LinkedIn, mate, it's LinkedIn.
Yeah.
It's LinkedIn. Do all my
Oh,
connections.
good networking.
Good networking. So it's not as crowded is another point I have. So because most agent and marketers put their efforts into Facebook and Instagram, LinkedIn's content feed is far less saturated. This is a great stat I'm about to hit you with. In fact, only 1% of LinkedIn users actively post content on a weekly basis. The other 99% are just scrolling and consuming. What a massive opportunity.
Yeah, you can really stand out with those numbers. I think do you know what the stats are for the big players, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat? It'd be interesting to know.
I would have to pull that in. I have some stats around reach, but I don't have stats around who's consuming versus who's scrolling. But I think if you were to go on Instagram or Facebook and you basically looked in even anyone's profile, you would see how much people are actually actively posting versus scrolling.
Yeah.
But if we're talking 99% of people on the platform are just scrolling and wanting to be educated, and 1% are creating content, you have such an opportunity to leverage content and awareness. So the other one is organic reach and engagement. So LinkedIn hasn't choked off organic visibility by the way of Facebook has. So for context, Facebook organic reach for business pages in 2024 was absolutely abysmal. It was barely 1.3% of your followers would see your post on average. Do you know what LinkedIn's is?
Hit me.
40%.
Wow.
So 40% of your LinkedIn followers or visitors will see your content weekly.
Is that the same as connections? Like if you connect with someone, is that a follower?
I'm going to go through it, but basically there's a little step you can do on your profile that if you enable the content section, they can hit follow and they'll just see your content. A connection is they're actually connected with you. So LinkedIn's actually moved this across over the years to kind of adapt to more of that content creator platform.
Yep.
Professional context. So agents may underestimate LinkedIn because it's not where people share family photos or viral dances, as you said. But that is the benefit. The audience is where professionals and experts hang out. So there's a business mindset in mind, which can actually make it way easier to convert them or to do partnerships because they're already in that serious business mindset when they're on the platform.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different, right? If you're on Instagram and you're trying to run an ad that's all based around converting you. Okay, you're a business coach and you want to convert clients and you're running ads on Instagram and they're doom scrolling through like sushi recipes and yogurt and soap cutting or whatever. I don't know what people, that's not my feed, just to put it out there. But if that's your feed and then you're like, hey, take up business coaching, they might look at it for a second, but it's going to be harder to convert them. Whereas if they're on LinkedIn looking at articles, how to improve my business, connecting, and then you show up there, they're already in that mindset.
So true. That's a really good point.
So I think be where they, are actively thinking about those things.
For sure. Like, I wouldn't personally go on LinkedIn to doom scroll.
No.
I would probably go on there to see what's happening in the world, who's saying what's happening in politics, in real estate, in general life, economy, you name it. John Fung, amazing man.
Oh,
big on LinkedIn.
He's so avid on LinkedIn. I love getting a comment from John Fung too.
Yep.
I just love it. I'm like, oh, great. The other, okay, speaking of John Fung, very high up in domain, but the other one is decision maker access. So perhaps the biggest value LinkedIn is full of decision makers. You can go directly connect with people and get noticed by people like developers, CEOs, finance brokers, HR heads. People might not be following your page, but are already on LinkedIn on a daily basis. It's like these power users might not engage with flashy social ads, but they do scroll LinkedIn between meetings. So if you're active on there, you can be on their radar. Like, it's no wonder studies found LinkedIn leads convert 3 times better than Facebook and Instagram.
Which is a lot.
Mm.
However, though, I think we'll probably go into this. It's more expensive to run an ad on LinkedIn. Is that right?
It's more targeted on LinkedIn, so it is more expensive, but it's way more of a qualified ad. So it says here, I basically put this snippet out from everything I read, and it's like, because LinkedIn isn't swarming with agent pitching homes or, those who embrace it, it's like you can really stand out. So I put a key note here when I was doing my research was less noise means more visibility for you. So if you're sitting there going, oh, but no one really does LinkedIn, I don't want to be the only one that does LinkedIn. Why not?
Mm.
Like, you're going to be seen way more if you're the one that does LinkedIn.
A lot of people have it. They're just not
actively using it.
Yeah.
And I think if you're one of those, because there is a few of you, if you're one of those people that's like, oh, I haven't updated my LinkedIn profile in years, oh, no one even uses LinkedIn. People do. People heavily use LinkedIn heavily now. And there's a lot of ways that we can use this feature. So I've got a whole bunch of ways to use it.
Yep.
If you're ready, I'm going to jump in.
Jump in. Let's go.
Okay. So one of the ways is LinkedIn articles or publishing. So think of this as LinkedIn's built-in blogging platforms. Agents, and this, I'm going to put this all to agents, right? There's so many ways you could use this as a recruiter, as a, a growth person, as a marketer, as an e-commerce brand. There's so many ways you can use it, but I just want to go agent specific for this because I think if agents listening or anyone in agency marketing takes anything away, it's this small section. Mm-hmm. So think of it as LinkedIn's blogging platform. Agents can write long-form posts, several hundred words or a few thousand on industry topics, case studies, or advice. Whatever that is, maybe what you're seeing in the market, what your market update is, case studies on your client. You can put that in a long article format, and LinkedIn articles perform very well. You can get people to reshare them, comment on them. They're amazing. The other one is what we spoke about before, but it's LinkedIn Creator Mode. So this is a profile setting that when activated, highlights your content and helps you grow your audience. In Creator Mode, the connect button on your profile changes, and it changes to follow. So rather than connect, it's got follow. And it encourages more people, those who don't even know you, to follow your updates, follow your page, and follow your content.
And just to clarify, that's not just for famous people.
No, that's not just for famous people. So you can have a LinkedIn Creator Mode at any time. I would highly suggest having a LinkedIn Creator Mode if you're putting content on LinkedIn.
Mm.
So recommendations is another one. This is a funny one. So recommendations are testimonials on your profile. They're written endorsements from your clients, colleagues, partners. You can give and you can receive them. These are extremely important. So I actually did this a little while ago for all of our agents in the business. I'd really tried to get all of our agents at AKG to jump on LinkedIn the best I could. One of the things I did was I went through and found every agent that was at AKG, and I went through and created a SEO keyword driven recommendation for that agent to basically, say what they were good at, in what area, what farm area they were good at. That's pretty much across all of our agents' profiles at AKG. There's reasons why that's important. One is I want when someone goes across our agent profile to basically look and go, okay, great. They've been recommended, someone has recommended them. I'm a verified LinkedIn user too, so that goes a long way in their SEO. But also too, I think for me as a user, that's really important that my name is showing up in other people's places. So if I take as an example, maybe Roxanne, our agent, is doing really well on LinkedIn and I'm helping her with her LinkedIn strategy. Someone goes through her profile, has a bit of a look, they go, who's this Tia person that gave her a recommendation? You're putting yourself in more opportunities. It's like kind of putting yourself in a room where people are talking about you.
Yep.
So I think giving LinkedIn recommendations is extremely important. I don't think people are as comfortable giving them as they are receiving them, because do you know I didn't receive a single recommendation back out of about 40 recommendations I gave?
Wow.
Not a single one.
So what are you going to do about that?
I'm not going to force someone to give you a recommendation on LinkedIn. It's not why I did it. But I think people are way more scared to put recommendations out. And I say to that, do it. If you work with like a real estate trainer, you attend an event, you know that one of your vendors is high up in whatever, go and give those people recommendations, because your name is going to show up on their platform. And to be honest, in all respect, if you give me a recommendation, I run LinkedIn ads on my profile. So like I put myself out there. So if your name is on my profile, you're getting free reach from me.
Good point.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's changed the way you think about it. The other recommendations I have here, LinkedIn events and webinars. So you can host events on LinkedIn, virtual or in person, and you can invite your entire network. So if you want to run a webinar that's all based around, what's happening in the local market, I highly suggest, collaborate with someone else. So maybe let's use our agents as an example. Let's say Jen from Loan Market and Angela Brown in Brookwater do a co-collaborated webinar where they talk all about what's happening right now in the property market, interest rates, everything. They would do that, host that on LinkedIn. They could host it anywhere, but they would make sure they have a LinkedIn event and they could send that out to all of their networks to basically say, join us on this webinar.
Yep.
So it gets a lot of reach, right? The other one I have here is LinkedIn Live Video. So under the events and creator umbrella, LinkedIn Live lets you broadcast live video to your network. And I have a crazy stat here. According to Social Pilot, live videos on LinkedIn get 25% more comments than regular videos.
I'm actually reading your notes. It's actually 24 times more comments. So that's way more than 25%.
Oh, yes. Sorry. I thought you were just going to pick me up because I said 25, not 24. And I was like, cut it. Yeah, so 24 times more comments
That's a lot.
than a regular video. That's crazy. I think Instagram has a similar stat. I think Instagram's around that, well, probably not at that high, but Instagram live videos definitely get way more engagement than regular videos.
And probably fair enough, because going live's scary as hell.
Oh my God, even doing this podcast was scary sometimes. Could you imagine going live?
Yeah.
I couldn't do it.
Every mistake is real.
I don't think I could do it.
Yes, you could.
I think maybe, but I'm like, it'd be scary for sure.
Maybe we could do a live podcast.
Maybe.
Damn.
I don't know. We'll see. I'm doing one scary thing. The last thing I had on this list was LinkedIn groups. So groups and niche communities of professionals, they're groups for everything. Like there's groups for absolutely anything. So what you could do is jump in maybe a Brisbane development group, real estate Australia group, financing, like whatever it is, you can jump in these groups and be active in the communities, which will drive a lot of traction back to your LinkedIn profile as well.
Yeah, cool.
So some of the content ideas I had are here. So do you want to read the content ideas?
Yeah, sure. Mix it up.
Mix it up.
So content ideas for LinkedIn, and this is probably actually where I do step in a little bit. I'm a bit of an ideas man, I suppose.
Did you write the ideas?
I mean, I didn't write the ideas, but I definitely have created videos for LinkedIn. Thank you, Tia. Anyway, industry insights and thought leaderships. Sharing your take on a recent property market report or posting 5 tips for navigating the 2025 property market. Perfect place for that. If we're looking at, hey, we want to send ads to Sydney, the investors and all the high wealth people, they're all that way. So why can't we send our educational post on LinkedIn? Makes sense. Success stories and case studies, huge, always recommend it as long as you can keep it punchy enough.
Yeah.
It's really tough, but actually I find in my life that I do a lot of interviews and poke and prod people for the right answers. It's actually quite hard to get what you need in like a few minutes. You know what? When I even say a few minutes, I mean like 1 minute. How do you get a testimonial in 1 to 2 minutes? It's really hard. But if you can, you keep it short, sharp, and pretty snappy,
Mm.
with good video editing, good quality, good microphones, you'll kill it.
I think even a carousel post on LinkedIn would
True.
perform really well. Like,
True.
what's the case study? Photo of the clients, how quick it was, and then maybe like a quick, like you said, like 30 seconds to
Yeah.
a minute video to go in conjunction with that. I think video is obviously king. LinkedIn's integrating a obviously vertical scroll feed into their platforms, so video is king. But I think graphics and posts and photos still go a really long way as well.
Yeah. So adding to that, behind the scenes, like what are you actually up to in your life? That's a really good one. It's also a bit easier to create, I find. That's one of my things is for people is, hey, if you're struggling to like, what should I post? How about you just show a bit of day to day, pull the phone out, put the meta glasses on if you take my recommendation a few weeks ago, take some snaps, take some videos and like compile a list of, a couple of different videos together to show the world, hey, this is like kind of what my day to day or maybe my week looks like.
I think personally for me, I really like seeing that. On LinkedIn, one of my favorite things to see is like when someone maybe plans an event or they have a PR activation or there's like, something going on in the industry. I really like to jump to LinkedIn and see like the coordinators or who did it or the people behind the scenes. They kind of post the process.
Yeah.
Even if there's a book launch or something, like I like to see and I've spoken about it before, but like the peek the curtain content where I can kind of see behind the scenes. So I think that does really well on LinkedIn. I think it does really well on Instagram at the moment too, but I think like reserve it, reserve certain things for LinkedIn that you're like, cool, that's going to go to my platform. And maybe just put up a story on your Instagram, kind of be like one photo and be like, the rest is at my LinkedIn and like tag
Yeah.
to your LinkedIn.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure.
Last two, engagement generators. So called questionnaires and polls and like how can you actually make people want to speak to you or reach out? That's
People suck at that.
They really do. But you know what I find, and again, I'm not massive on LinkedIn. I really need to be, and the same as the last conversation.
I think
TikTok.
this is why I picked this episode. I was like, Dan's definitely going to get on it because how hard have I been driving you for LinkedIn? And
Yeah, I've even paid for the premium LinkedIn user.
You got to use it.
I will, but I do find that like if I look at my Instagram as an example, one of the most engaging things that I put up there is when I'm being a bit more funny. And for example, I was making this latte art the other day, and it was meant to be a palm tree, I think, and it looked like just a blob.
Art was a loose term.
Art is
subjective
to the individual, and I could see it. It's all about perspective,
That's actually cool. You could remember we were talking the other day, just briefly to digress, about we watched Nonnas on Instagram. Oh, not Instagram. Oh my God. We watched Nonnas on YouTube, which if you haven't seen it, it's a movie all about basically based on a true story. This guy opens a restaurant in Staten Island and he gets like grandmas to cook the meals. And Dan and I were talking about, we're based in Springfield. And we're saying the lack of bougie cafes we have here and like bougie businesses.
Yeah.
And we were talking about like, in our lifetime, will we ever see ourselves opening a cafe? Quickly shut down, just for context, like quickly thought about the workload.
I'm still open to it.
You could do that. Maybe that's the idea, like latte art is subjective and here it just looks like
a glob of shit. No swearing on this podcast. We haven't actually discussed that.
No, that's fine. I just think lob of shit was not exactly
I
ideal.
will admit though, having like it is the dream to own a cafe where I haven't done much for it. I can roll in and be like, Eggs Benedicts, please.
So
yes,
you
Daniel.
just,
yes.
So you just want a tab at a cafe.
For sure.
Okay, cool.
The last one is a bit of a given. Visual and video content. I'm big on that. I think video is king. It shows authenticity. It shows you. And I wonder, it'd be an interesting stat to see if when people are on LinkedIn, are they watching it in silence?
Well, I noticed that LinkedIn automatically populates subtitles.
Yeah, true.
So maybe they are.
That's great.
Which is actually annoying. Actually, pro tip when you're doing video on LinkedIn, either turn off the automatic subtitle thing or just don't actually add subtitles to your video on LinkedIn, because there's been a few times where we've posted podcast trailers and the automatic subtitles come on when it's in silent, but then we've got subtitles on it.
Hot tip.
Yeah, so I would say that. Okay, so to recap, LinkedIn deserves a spot in your marketing mix because it offers something that other platforms don't. It's a concentrated network of professionals, decision makers, trust-rich environment, and tools specifically designed to boost your credibility and your connections. So we've talked about the millions of users that are active on LinkedIn. We've talked about how to target your clients, why the platform is so underrated. And I'm just going to touch back on 99% of your competitors aren't posting. They're consuming. That is a massive for the taking grab in real estate. And I would love to see more real estate professionals jump on LinkedIn and, actively engage with me on LinkedIn, Abby on LinkedIn. Let's have a conversation. I actually had Jess, a girl that we've both recently, she's a BDM in Brisbane, both recently connected. She followed me on Instagram, but she actually messaged me on LinkedIn.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I found that really cool because it actually showed that this person had followed the trail. So followed me on Instagram, messaged me on LinkedIn and said, we should grab a coffee.
Yeah.
Which, Jess, we need to grab that coffee. I'm very sorry. I'm super busy. Obviously out of the country right now, but.
You know what I'm going to push those? When you reach out on LinkedIn, there's nothing more annoying when you try to sell me an event to a ticket to an event or some garbage that I just don't know nothing about. And then you follow up again like, hey, Dan, haven't heard from you. What's going on?
Do you know their LinkedIn ads?
Yeah, of course. But
they're ads. So basically
so
they're called messenger ads.
Well, guess what? If I get that from you, I'm unfollowing, unconnecting. I'm like, go away.
Yeah, I think build the connection before you hard sell for sure. Or be super strategic about how you do it.
Yeah.
Like, I think you can run an ad, but be strategic.
I think you could say hello. Hey, mate, like what you're doing. If we can ever connect, would love to have a chat.
I didn't even, before I close this episode off, I didn't even add it in here. So, God, name has escaped me. So basically, you know what? I'm going to pull it up right now. This is real life stuff because I need to actually pull this up. So earlier this year, I bought tickets to the design conference for the designers in our business. I'm just going to bring up his name where it is. Here it is, Matthew Haynes. So there's automations that you can plug into LinkedIn that basically integrate and talk with your website. So I bought tickets to the design conference for Chris and Leo to attend. And instantly I got a LinkedIn connection request from Matthew Haynes, who is the founder of the design conference. Then I jumped in and said, just organize tickets for the team for the design conference. They're very excited. He goes, I know. I was reaching out to say thank you. Your support means the world. Thanks again, Tia. How incredible is that?
I'm like, now, Matt, you send me as many ads as you like, you lovely fella.
Do you know what I mean? Like, that is a targeted approach. So obviously he's got some sort of automation where, like, basically when someone buys a ticket, his LinkedIn automatically sources that person because it asks for your LinkedIn profile and adds them. But he's actually then jumped in and had the real conversation with me after.
Yeah.
And honestly, that left such an impression on me that I was like, wow, that's incredible marketing.
For sure.
So if you've been treating LinkedIn like an afterthought, now is the time to give it some love. So I want to give some action items for this week. I want you all to do it. I want to see a lot of LinkedIn requests in my inbox. You're going to update your profile, make it client focused, make sure your photo is updated, make sure your link's updated, make sure your bio is updated. Do not solely upload it with ChatGPT. If there is long ChatGPT dashes and Zs, nah.
Wonderful.
Lost ya. So you're going to update your bio, you're going to add your link, update your profile photo, and remember consistency is key. I want you to connect with 5 to 10 people in your farm area every single day, little by little, gain little traction. And when you connect with them and they add you back, send them a message. As the saying goes, and this is not my saying, this is inherited from you, inherited from someone else. But the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. And the second best time is now. And that same principle applies to when building your LinkedIn.
Shout out to Steel Quintal, who told me that saying, who also stole it off someone else, I'm assuming.
Wow. So we've really just carried that on.
Yeah, but it is a brilliant saying, and I totally agree. Like 20 years ago would have been great. Today is just as good. Let's go. There's another 30 years ahead of us.
Exactly. Let's see the recommendations flying, the messages flying. Let's see the ads flying. Let's just see the industry adapt to LinkedIn the way they should, because honestly, it's a game changer.
We'll keep everyone updated. I'm going to have a crack and let's see how we go.
Consistency is key, Dan. Remember that.
Thanks for joining us on Marketing with My Husband.
Thank you for listening.
Marketing with My Husband.